Aloha and welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with your host, me, Dr. Lisa Thompson, where I have out-of-this-world conversations with extraordinary people. And today I am super excited to have on MaAra Divine. We're going to bring her on in just a moment, but first a couple of announcements. If you have not had a chance to grab my free 20-minute meditative journey to meet your galactic family and guides, make sure you do that on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. Also, I'm going to be leading my Galactic Ascension Channel certification program, which is my healing modality brought forth by my different ET groups. That's going to be taught online February 22nd and 23rd. So if you are already in the healing field, this would be for you. I'm also leading my Galactic retreat here on the Big Island of Hawaii, April 30th to May 4th. This is a deep dive connection. And so all of that information, again, on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. And then finally, if you are coming to Hawaii anytime throughout the year, specifically to the Big Island, Kona side, then come on one of my Big Island UFO tours where you will see the night sky in a whole new way using my Generation 3 military night vision goggles. Okay, so without further ado, here we're bringing on MaAra. Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me. I'm visualizing your night tours of the sky. I've been on the Big Island, but it's been years ago, and I can only imagine how incredible it is to really have that perspective of the sky.
Yeah, we have so much activity here, so have to come back and visit me.
Yes, I will. Thank you for the invitation. I might take it one day. Yes, I think Hawaii's been calling.
Well, let me share your bio with the audience so that they can understand why I'm excited to have you on today. Okay, so MaAra Divine is a soul guide and galactic Lyran shaman dedicated to helping others unlock their multidimensional potential. With her expertise as a metaphysical activator and educator, she integrates a variety of quantum, shamanic, and psychological tools to provide tailored offerings for her clients. She is the founder of the Source Language Institute, with its mission to teach and activate others to the purest communication via source codes, also known as light language. For those interested in opening up to light language, you can take her self-paced Source Code Mastery course. She also currently facilitates online and in-person sound healing and Phoenix Rising Kundalini activation workshops in the New Jersey and New York area. You can find her podcast, Soul Communication, on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Yeah. Well, I'm so very happy to have you here. And we were chatting before we started recording here. And there's so much I want to get into with you. But first, I would love for you to share with the audience kind of how you grew up, spiritual, religious, something else, so we can understand the journey of how you came to be a galactic Lyran shaman.
I think the journey is like the journey of many eons of different lifetimes, and of course, not only on Earth. So this lifetime, I'll start that even on this lifetime, I've journeyed some too, to where I am today. So I was born actually in Soviet Union, and during communism, and we left just when I was about 10 years old. Before the whole structure collapsed, we were supposed to come to the United States, but things rerouted, and so we actually ended up going with my parents at the time to Israel, where I grew up in the north of Israel. And so it's really interesting where right now all these hot areas of conflicts are happening. That's where I'm from. And so I speak Russian and I speak Hebrew, and I, grew up in Israel through the Gulf War, through suicide bombings, through a lot of things that I got to see as a teenager. But I was always a very mature soul since I was a little girl. I traveled even in Minsk, the capital of Belarus, where I'm from. Like I would get on a bus when I was 5 years old and take the bus to the other end of the city and just walk around. And because I was always tall, people didn't assume that I was as little as I was for my age, because I always acted very mature and fearless in many ways. That's, I guess, when we could talk more about like a very true Lyran trait of mine. And I think it also has to do with the training that my soul went through in many systems, but really at the core of the Lyran train as well, where it's like the feline energy, the kitty that is always very comfortable with surroundings, has this like internal strong GPS. Like I was never worried that I'm ever going to get lost. And later in my 30s, I actually traveled the world and traveled over 45 countries. And that always stayed. Like I'm not in the craziest places that I've been, jungles, you name it. I always had this internal sense of safety and curiosity. I think curiosity is really where this journey took me. But really, my awakening happened. And then, so when I was 16, I came to the United States to visit my grandparents, and I stayed because my parents were already in the immigration process. It just took a long time. And fast forward, I think it was around 20 years old that I went back to Israel. My parents were still there. My mom at the time really got into Reiki, and she was studying with this Kabbalah woman. And she brought me to this Kabbalah teacher for initiation, my first Reiki initiation. And that was next to the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus did a lot of his miracles. So there's some beautiful, resonance there with the area as well. And I think after that initiation, everything pretty much started for me, because all of a sudden I felt energy. Something in me woke up, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And things just started expanding. Reiki was just a starter. I became very quickly a master of Reiki. And there was some periods where it was dormant as well, because I didn't have the community that I needed. But around 2008, things started like reactivating. I went to my first Burning Man festival. I went traveling to Southeast Asia, and then the right people started coming my way as I was awakening. I was part of that wave of 2012. Like I was gearing up for 2012. 2012 was a very powerful year for me. I spent most of it in the jungles of Peru, Colombia, Guatemala. I was in Guatemala about 5-6 months. Remembered one of my past lives as a Mayan shaman. Found the place where it happened in Tikal, where I was actually beheaded as part of the sacrifice ceremonies. So really spent a lot of time with the Mayan pyramids, and this high priestess that came into my field that was kind of directed me to do different ceremonies. And only now I understand what I did. I was actually activating these pyramids with my codes, with some of the ceremonial ways and candles and things that she gave me, the Mayan way. And so, yeah, the journey has been incredible. It's always twists and turns. And shamanism, I would say, is kind of my foundation of the plant medicine work, learning how to go into different realms. And then there was also a point about 9 years ago where the ayahuasca medicine that I was drinking in the jungle was like, you are complete, dear daughter. It's time to go galactic. And I was like, what is galactic? She's like, you've done the earthly work. It's time to go galactic. You no longer need me. And so she kicked me out. Literally, she was just like, you're done. And there's such thing as graduation and remembrance. And I didn't understand what that meant. But in about a year, I started working more with different plant medicine, with like more magical mushrooms and more of like these hyperdimensional spaces. And the memories started flooding, the past lives, the galactic lives. And then I had the activation of light language. And then from there, it's just been this beautiful rabbit hole of constantly remembering. And also meeting my husband was a big part of my journey, where he's my twin flame. So I had to release the karmic lifetimes and partnerships and the father of my child who did not serve me. And when I came into that place of empowerment and ready for that divine union and conscious type of relationship, didn't know I was called twin flames since time. I just knew that there was a pattern that I had to break. And when I met him, I think just two of us in the last 9 years just been constantly opening doors of remembrance and mirroring each other. It's just a lot of deep work being on a path with someone. So it's no longer another teacher that kind of supports you. It's like we really just teach us for each other constantly. And it's been really beautiful journey.
Okay, wow. So what I would love to go deeper into is these memories that were coming up for you of your galactic path or parallel, we'll call it, because all timelines exist simultaneously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do regressions for a lot of my clients today. So I always say time is alive, just like you said. It's all kind of stacked, right? So it's not linear. It's almost like layers of a cake. And you can always go back into that moment in time, open it, look at it, shift energy around, reconcile things that you needed to reconcile. And it's incredible how you pull back that energy from that moment into the present now. So, and you become a whole, and that's what we hear is to remember, recollect soul pieces of ourselves cross space and time, clear any blockages and patterns, and come back into this divine alignment and original soul blueprints. So for me, yes, the memories of my origins in Lyra system, some call Lyra, has happened around the same time that I met my husband, and it was important because he's a Draco and I'm a Lyran. And so we played a galactic story. And actually the father of my kid too, it was part of the bigger galactic story of these two civilizations that I would say started a lot of the wars in in this galaxy, and we're still integrating here. So these energies are still within our energetic field. We're still processing and reworking them, and we have over 20 something genetical codes of the whole galaxy, right? So we're still processing all the drama and the trauma. So it was important for us to remember who we were, and so I was a royal princess. So there was a in the Lyra system, so just for those who might not know, Lyra is the beginning of the humanoid experience here in this galaxy. And we came all from Andromeda to have this, it was, I would say, mirror universe created for us to have a specific experience here, specific duality, and learn certain lessons. So with these beings, Elohim beings, and the founding fathers decided on this system and this universal construct. They saw Lyra, even though it's such a small constellation, as a perfect place to start this experience because it had lush planets, it had life, it had water, very similar to Earth. There's some places where there's a lot of moss around you, or these rocks and waterfalls. I have a lot of memories similar to some of the planets. So we had, this really beautiful paradise. I would say when you think of paradise on Earth, that was the template. It was truly a paradise, and in the system, there were founding fathers. They came from a different universe. These lion beings, and they started this DNA genetic manipulation where they brought the essence and created children. So, like in the movie Avatar, the blue-skinned Lyrans, those were more vegans. So James Cameron totally downloaded that in his dreams. And I actually was reading that he actually did some sort of ceremony. So it was not just from his imagination, but yes, very tall beings with, through genetical changes, became ultimately the hybrids with the more like tall mammals, but with feline features. And they were, we were just very loving, very tribal, physical. The Lyrans, that's the white Lyrans from the part that I'm. So there were two kind of races. There were the blue ones that were more into the feminine, mega consciousness. We were more like the father, they say the father consciousness. So we're into physicality and games and running around. And so it was the white Lyrans. They're very loving, always about service to others and connected to the land, connected to the planets, and really taking care of our planets, and simple in some ways because we didn't have such advanced technology yet. We had some ships, but not like the ships that the Draco system had. So in my story, it's really interesting because just recently, this year, I had to go back into the story and reconcile because time is alive. I did a regression on myself because there was some patterns that were coming up with my current father, And my husband actually helped me see that actually these patterns had to do with my galactic father. So I had to go to the core wound of my fatherly disconnect.
Mm.
My father was a high council, so he was pretty much like the key guy for making decisions. I lived on a planet called Avion, so and the royal lineage was on that planet, and that's where the high council for the White Lyran sat. And in this recent regression that I did for myself, I saw myself as a little Lyran self that was playing with my father, and then these ships came, and these were the Draco ships. So when they came to our system, they came under friendly pretext that you know, we neighbor in constellation, we want to be friends, we have this advanced technology, and this technology is going to help you to advance as well. But really, the agenda for them was to ultimately conquer our resources because they didn't have they didn't have such flush planets. And but we were kind of naive. We were always about love, and you
Yeah.
know, and we didn't understand hostility, and we didn't have weapons per se. It was more like, you know, if you can think of knives and like
Yeah.
very low tech versus high tech. And so so we allowed them into our system. We allowed them to learn about our planets. They knew where the weak spots were on the planet, and they became kind of part of our society in the way that they were like our guests, but we definitely gave them access. And so since I was a little girl, I was groomed into this marriage alliance that they would solidify these two constellations into like contract of sorts. That was the idea. But of course, I was forced into it. So I was not I was questioning them. I did not resonate with the Dracos. I did not. There were a lot of things happening. There were like these tiger beings. So there were different races, and there were like these more tiger beings. They were more like spies in the Lyra system, and I was friends with them. And things were happening in the system where I saw that the Dracos were not nice. They were not about service to others, more service to self, and that it was all like a pretext. And anyway, so fast forward, it was this wedding. If you can imagine a Draco, so Draco is like these Lizzies, they call them beings, so at least 12 foot, with there's a lot of armor. I always think of them as like the Klingons in Star Trek. Even the language itself, it's so aggressive. Like I think that's the closest, but they very like big and bulky. I mean, the Lawrence, I was like 9 foot, so like behind me, that would be like me, the
Okay.
closest, you know, with these ears and the feline features, more like blonde hair. Um, but still very small compared to that. Like if you think of
Right.
12 and above. So it was very intimidating. Like if I think of that ceremony, and I've been to spaces where, yeah, I was very intimidated, and not happy about the whole situation, but I was forced into it. And then my memory is that I was taken off planet to their planet, and in this regression, I saw myself almost like in the Star Wars, like when you think of Empire, and
Hmm.
if you think of those like darker cities where it's very technologically advanced, but the energy is so intense, like
Yeah.
even to the point where your frequency doesn't match it. So when I was in this deep regression, I was like shaken because I didn't like energetically like wanted to be there, could be there. And so I escaped the system. That was ultimately what I did. And because I couldn't tolerate it. I couldn't agree with anything was happening there, and they had plans for me, but it was just going against my nature.
Hmm.
When I s- and so I s- So someone helped me. I escaped that constellation through we stole a ship and got back to Avion, and that was a I think so. We're talking about years. Like if we were thinking linear, so it didn't all happen at once. Like this alliance lasted for some time, but I think I was probably that marriage. It was kind of the straw in the back for them to find an excuse to attack, and So the attack started pretty fast, I would say. It was high tech and low tech on the ground. It didn't start on Evian. The first planet was Avalon, which I also closely was like I had friends in Avalon, so I remember that planet really well. And yeah, it was very brutal what happened there. Like I'm not gonna go into gory details of, but I think the movie Star Wars really portrays it, and I think that's why a lot of us when we watch it, even the movie Avatar, we have these like visceral reactions to how it resonates with us, maybe, or we feel like because we actually have in some ways we have that DNA, the Lyran DNA in all of us, and some of us have past lives in Lyra system one way or another. Even if you're Pleiadian, your ancestors came from Lyra. Even if you're Syrian, your ancestors came from Lyra.
Right.
So it's just that trauma. It's so deep, and rooted, and so we recognize that. So it was a very brutal attack. High tech, low tech on the ground. And my own story, I was at Evian, and because I knew Evian so well, and I was trained as a princess to know all the caverns, all the things, we heard of what was going on at Evian, and we had ships. So I was helping some people to get on the ship, and we escaped. So some ships went to Pleiades system. So whoever could escape from Avalon went to Pleiades. Some went to Sirius. My ship went to Andromeda. So, and it's interesting because I was just having this conversation with my husband yesterday so my husband actually, so I was married to Draco. He was the brother.
Okay, I was wondering if.
Yeah, he was the brother. So it was like the royal family. And the person who I married is my ex. So I had to go through a lot of clearing karmically and releasing in this lifetime to release that story and release a lot of things, and that came through remembrance. But what's interesting about Andromeda, I'm still trying to piece what happened there. It's almost like some memories were purposely like blanked out because I think that we interacted with. I have Andromeda guides, but I think there was some very high tech things we did there. I did there that for now are not relevant to remember. All I remember is how I came here. I came here to Egypt, and I was high priestess in Saqqara, but I volunteered. It was like a council decision that I volunteered to come here. And this is when beings were still manifesting in and out. So that bridge was open. There was a portal, and I was helping keep that portal for over 300 years. So it was a very different, like when we think of Atlantis, it was vibrationally very different reality. But that there was a decision by the council to close it. And some of us in some ways got trapped here, and then the consciousness started kind of descended from there.
Okay, so a couple questions. Number one, Andromeda constellation or galaxy that you went to?
We went to the constellation, but this is where I'm still struggling with Andromeda because I've also remembered the galaxy. So I also had a journey where I went to a planet at Andromeda galaxy. So it is possible that we all came. This is my understanding. I think we all came from Andromeda. At least I did, and possibly into the Lyran system because my galaxy memory is actually clearer than my constellation memories. Which is those are two different places. So for those who listening, like just think of it, galaxy is our neighboring galaxy that we're actually coming close to, and in some billion years away we might all merge together, which all makes sense. But that's 2 million light years away versus Andromeda constellation is only 2000 light years away, which is much closer.
Yeah, because it's inside of our Milky Way galaxy.
Yes.
And I just wanted, I'm glad you clarified that because I know that Andromeda gets thrown around and there is confusion, I think, in some people of is that the constellation or the galaxy? Yeah. Okay. So then, in terms of Egypt, so I actually spent 2.5 weeks in Egypt in April of this year.
You did.
And I very much resonated with Sekhmet. And you had mentioned Sekhmet before we got on here. And
Yeah.
so share with me your relationship with her.
It's very deep. I would say I embodied 98% of Sekhmet's codes at this point. Sometimes I even think I am her, but I know she's avatar consciousness.
Mhm.
So it's like it gets fuzzy. But I know when I transmit transmit codes, very often it's like interchangeable frequency. I've met her in different spaces. Like I've been in like 12 dimension with her, and I had an encounter with her on this ship in 12 dimension and other forms. Of course, like I work with that frequency all the time. It feel like it's me. Like I've worked with other frequency, but I think it's the only frequency that's I'm really closest to. And so, um, of course, I have my Sekhmet statues, but more incredibly, um, there's there is Sekhmet statues. There are Sekhmet statues in Metropolitan Museum in New York. I just learned in London as well, and there's one that's actually still activated in the Metropolitan. So I haven't been to Egypt because Egypt is not yet letting me to come back.
Okay.
And we've tried in 2011, and it wasn't time apparently because the Spring Revolution started literally 3 days before I was supposed to go. And in hindsight, I understand like now it's much more clear that it's not the time yet because of
Mhm.
the codes that I carry. But a dear friend of mine came from Karnak and she was telling me about the Sekhmet. And through her, I like quantumly entangled and I could just start like transmitting all these codes and we were like in this bubble. So, of course, there's no time and separation of space. So I feel that frequency is always with me. And like I said, sometimes I feel like I am that frequency. So it's like it gets really fuzzy, but it's really beautiful frequency because the Sekhmet energy. So Sekhmet, she's in Egypt, she's portrayed with the lioness head. She's a fierce warrior,
Mhm.
and at the same time, she has the feminine divine principle of like being the fertility goddess, the mother, the divine mother. And I feel those very much in balance in my field too. Like I'm very fierce warrior. I'm an Aries astrologically.
Yeah.
And at the same time, my divine feminine, like my moon is in Cancer. So I feel the fire and the water elements are very much like what Sekhmet represents as well, and it represents who I am and my identity. And and I see that how Sekhmet frequency has really helped me to step into my, I call her the phoenix self, like this really powerful divine feminine that is here to share her knowledge, her wisdom, with courage, with strength, and yet with this grace and beauty, and hold it a really beautiful
Yeah.
divine for everyone. Yeah.
Well, I love that. And actually, last year I led 13 different sessions, bringing through 13 different galactic races that I know that I'm
Mhm.
related to, part of. So I was bringing forth myself from those realms. And exactly how you are describing the Lyrans is exactly what came through in terms of the wisdom that they wanted to share and the energy that they wanted to bring. And I even created one of my oracle card decks from that. And so some of the
Mm.
key words like fearless and adventurous and all that are
Independent and
independent.
playful.
Yeah,
We love to
exactly.
play. We love to play and being very social. But what I've also noticed, and like we're amazing transmuters. So like if we work with energy, like we know how to transmute energy too. I think that's like the fire principle in terms of energy work that we do in the spaces. But we bring a lot of positivity, like it's like this joy, and it's just like if you think of the lions, like or the kitties, playing around. So anyone who has a cat at home,
Mhm.
and you're really connected to your cat, just know that most of the cats are Lyran too. So
Yeah.
it's just how they manifest here to be our pets and companions to help. But my cat literally came to me in my dream, showing me that she was ready to be with us. And yeah, and, you know, I knew like when I'm going to see her picture, I'm going to know it's her.
Okay.
So yeah, Liana. So it's, and I see what she's doing. She's clear in energy all the time. Yeah. Like
Mhm.
just in every space. And that's really our, I feel, natural way of just always bringing a high elevation of frequency.
Yeah, I love that. Actually, my cat, I know she's doing the same thing in all the spaces. And every time
Yeah.
she sits on me, she's really
Oh,
leaning energetically on me.
yeah. Yeah. She's clearing you. She's constantly clearing you.
She is. She is. Well, so tell me about how you work with clients and all of that and the different services that you offer.
So yeah, so usually people come to me for three different things. Those are like my primary things, and I feel like that's growing. One is to clear the field, right? So I do what's called quantum attunement and crystalline cell healing. So I see us as the sacred geometry, and we are a divine instrument, but often out of alignment. And so crystalline soul healing is a modality that clears, it's a template that clears all the cords, all the implants through space and time. And I channel the light language as I do that. And then quantum attunement is like now I'm also upgrading the system with new codes, with kind of new layers of information. It's always been for me like a galactic shaman and shaman. Like we first have to clear the field of the, what's not serving us and debris, retune, recalibrate, and
Mhm.
then layer the new foundation on that helps people to remember who they are in their soul blueprint. And it's powerful work because it continues for like few days, integrating and just clearing through. So that's some of the work that people come in for. Sometimes people are really interested in their past lives. And so I don't like to do direct Akashic readings myself, even though I can. So I prefer the Dolores Canon's way, which is the QHHT. But because I'm I see what they see because I'm kind of like, I'm a seer too. So when we open that moment in time and I'm guiding them, I can see what they see. And then so it gets to be really fun for me too. It's like a galactic historian collecting pieces of
Yeah.
information. Some people come, and they only have earthly lives, but lately has, of course, been a lot of galactic lives. And through them, Acturians, sometimes even the founding fathers from another universe came that day, which was incredible because they took me back to that universe. I never know. I'm always surprised. And there's this like element of joy in that because it's helping the person because they deepen hypnosis, they go into their past lives. But really the key there within the modality, the QHHT quantum healing, is that there's questions you can ask of the subconscious.
Yeah.
And because I work with plant medicine, I think I'm stepping away from plant medicine now and realizing like we are the technology. We really don't even need any supporters, and we can still go into these spaces through hypnosis, through other ways. And yeah, and I'm really, really passionate about activating people's light language, which I think is the divine right for all of us. I also got guided by Lemurian beings in Mount Shasta in 2020. That is the most important thing right now for everyone to come online with their languages,
Mhm.
to bring in the codes. So that's been my biggest passion project, is to activate. So Source Language Institute is what I founded, and with my other beautiful sister, we do free webinars. We also have a self-paced course. We coach, so you can either do a course on your own, you can do just a session with me. So I've been noticing, Lisa, and I don't know, I'm sure you have been noticing too, like what took us maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to activate, to ground, now it's happening for a person within a week.
Yeah.
It's like really, really fast, and the momentum is growing. We're here to support that and activate in whatever way we can. And then Kundalini is also kind of, and which is the flow of energy for everyone. So I've been using more in-person workshops, but sometimes I even do Kundalini sessions with people online, where I'm just helping people to activate the fields and allow more energy to flow through. So you have more electricity, more connected. So Kundalini activation has been beautiful. It kind of goes with the crystalline soul healing and the other work. So those are kind of my key things, but I'm podcasting a lot now too, which has been really exciting, and sharing, yeah, all the wisdom, all the remembrance.
Beautiful. Well, and I love that you do very similar work to what I do, and we need
Ah,
more of us. We
yes, there's not
people.
enough of us. For sure. And some people are still not ready, right, Lisa?
Yeah.
Like even within my workshops that are in person, like here in New Jersey where I am, like, you know, they hear me doing all the codes, but it's still like, slowly unpeeling the onion for a person to like step into and be, open to what is galactic, what is,
Right.
sometimes then peeling is just they starting to awaken and the whole reality starts shifting. We can just like throw on them, oh, you from this system, and just overwhelms them. But stars, all the star seeds are awakening right now, and it's just happening more and more now. I think the momentum is growing. I feel we're
Yeah.
just in the beginning phase of it.
Well, and we're all starting to come together with each other.
That too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you and I were just talking about all these reunions and synchronicities, and like you just know in the moment, like we're
Hmm.
supposed to be together because, of course, each one of us is powerful and each one of us has the gifts. But when we're together, exactly doing these conferences and come in person together, we just, we all in the same soul mission. Yeah. And just like you, I also do earth grid work. So that's my own independent project. I've been doing it for over a decade. Kind of activating Mother Earth as well, doing like acupuncture on her. And usually the places call me, and specifically, yeah, I plant specific devices. And so it's not just activating the codes, and it's physical device that's Andromedan that's been developed over time. And so in some places I have to revisit, it seems like, to put these devices. So yeah, we all have specific codes, and each one of us has a role to play in this new earth blueprint timeline that we're all weaving together, this beautiful tapestry. And I love how, like, in the moment when you see someone who's on the same vibration level, same soul mission, you just know this is the person, or this is the person I need to meet
Yeah.
or bring on my podcast. Just
Right.
like I found you, I was like, I gotta get in touch with Lisa. I'm supposed to be on her podcast. Like we speak the same language. Yeah. You just
Yeah. Well, and before we got on, we were talking about Tony Gozzi, who is a great friend of both of ours, and he's
yes.
at the show, and he was a big fan favorite, actually.
Ah, he brought the Mantis beings, of course.
He,
Yeah, and the Mantis collective, they all, so the Lions are really about the heart too. They're all about the heart portal, and I know Tony is about the heart. But it's all the founding races that are kind of also converging
mhm.
together to activate the heart. And yeah, Tony was on my show too, and Tony and I had this whole thing where we exchanged codes, and then the mantis beings started coming up through me, and they were like in my field. I was at this workshop, and all the mantis beings just turned on, and I was making all these mantis sounds because I don't think Tony yet. Yeah, he's not doing light language yet. I'm trying to push him there, but he channels beautifully. But the messages are similar, and it's all about like how can we come back into remember who we are? How do we tap deeper into our heart spaces, because the heart is the portal to the universe. And
Mhm.
so we have the same messages. And so that's why we're also convergent. And we just like see each other. Tony and I don't know if Lisa had that feeling, but Tony and I know each other from past life in Egypt. Like that was like immediate moment. He actually first even recognized my husband, and then me. It was like this and this other friend. So we all like, whoa, like feeling this moment of resonance. And so we all also go back to the ancient times. We've done this before together. And now we're just coming back online and just like, wow, like here we are. Let's try again.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you would like to share? Any transmissions, or just anything else you would like the audience to know?
Yeah, I mean, I can share a transmission if we have time.
Yeah,
Sure.
we do.
Yeah. So we're talking about the heart. Maybe the heart is a good one for today, but just freeing that space in our heart for more information, because a lot of us carry what I call heart wall, which serves well to protect us because someone hurt us maybe in this lifetime or other lifetimes. And I think at this moment in time, it's important to strip off the defenses. And
Mhm.
for us to really come online, we have to be fully in our heart and all the crevices, the four crevices and more in chambers of the heart, because the heart is the portal to yourself, to your divine spark. So I'm going to bring in this transmission because Lyran did so beautifully for opening the heart. Niku Tariatiaku shir ar kust arkia urkumpu arkimustursta rkuatia laja tusturtiniatia umpuak ash und tiak nku kia ar urstumbaisa Mburikiana sunurukumbashi shush awa shanaya kuatia fushtama. Breathe into your heart space. Bringing in a golden light and seeing it illuminating, radiating like the sun. Kuamatiana sunutuatiana nia tuatia. And then expanding it further, seeing beautiful golden rays of light, feeling every cell of your body. Urumaya tush dumbaya nia tualila surunuma nikanus tu tia at ushtumbaisa tia kurunuma nia tia tumbaisha. And seeing every cell of your body is now filled with this golden light. And you are in this beautiful bubble of light. Feeling anchored and supported by your galactic family. Nianuma, niatua, rakustumbaita ratish, tumbuati matus, turutumbaita ukuatai, nai, muna, shayakumaya, nalia, numatia, tumbushta, vurutumbai, kakuata, niana, apushayama, apushupa. Apunua nia narutusht mua isha ima et turunuai vawa.
Wow.
It was very gentle compared to the one on Saturday.
Okay. Well, I could feel that energy.
It was very gentle energy. It was very feminine that came through. Yeah, like I saw, like some Lyrian grandmothers, like that feminine energy.
Mm,
Yeah, of remembering that you're a child and recollecting your innocence. It was very like mother caressing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, I'm perfect for whatever the audience needs to hear in this moment.
correct. And no matter where you are on your journey right now and whatever's happening, it's all perfect. Like we need to go through some lessons. We need to strip away parts of ourselves and let them go and create new parts. We constantly in this creation process too with ourselves, and I always say like it's the onion. So when peeling the onion, and with each layer is like tears coming, but we come in to the core of the onion, and maybe in the core there's like a golden egg, and so within the golden eggs, that's the heart portal. Those are where all the codes are, the divine spark of us, and the truth of who we are, not what the society tells us that we need to be. And,
Mhm.
and that's why I love the language, because the language is very multidimensional, and it's about the feelings and the frequency. It's not through the mind where you're trying to logically translate
Mhm.
and this equals this, but it's more like a flow of frequency. And we are frequency beings, we are quantum beings. And I always talk about quantum stuff, and people are like, what's quantum? And I'm reminding everyone, we are quantum beings. That means we have a lot, we have light. We have all these photons within our DNA. They're doing so much studies right now with the quantum biology, how we produce in so much energy and electricity. And we are light beings. So we coming back into light. Whenever it says light and love, what does that mean? Like the more light we can hold. And this weekend, Lisa, you probably experienced it too. We had so many light particles coming through because we had that solar flare on Thursday. And so it was incredible aurora borealis. But the sun is also bringing in for us fusions of gamma rays and light particles. And we need to learn how to create more spaces within our geometry to hold that light. So the sun is helping us to remember too, as part of this ascension cycle, that we are light beings. We are the sun. Literally, we are the wormhole, and the sun is a wormhole. So everything is mirroring for us what we are. So it's our time now to strip away the things that we've been conditioned with, and be the light that we are. Shining candle in the room.
Well, I love all of that. And share where people can find you, your websites, your socials.
Yeah, for sure. So dianadivine.com is my website. My kind of umbrella school called Love Ripple Academy. So on Instagram, because always talking about love and how each interaction we have, and love that we share with each other, we also ripple into the world. We keep on telling others. So it's ripples. So Love Ripple Academy. So on Instagram, it's at Love Ripple Academy. On YouTube, it's at Love Ripple Academy. So that's kind of the tagline I've been going by. By DianaDivine.com is where you can find all the work that I do, and any sessions you want to book with me. Also, I offer free consultations. If you're not sure what you need, we can talk.
Okay. Well, this has been so beautiful to have you on and sharing your story as well as all the great information and that beautiful transmission. I can
Mm.
still feel it in my body.
Yeah, and just whoever listening to this, if you're receiving this transmission, just go and ground and be with yourself. And I think part of that this work is also taking care of yourself, like do the self-care, find the time to, sit outside, take your shoes off, put it on the grass, look at the sun. And the sun is giving us so many codes, as I was mentioning. Just really take care of you and choose you first. So this journey of ascension is about self-love. And so it's choosing you, choosing your timeline. We are the time of choices. And remember, you are quantum master creator.
Love it. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for being here. And for
Mhm.
those of you watching or listening, thank you as always. And I'll see you next time on Connection to the Cosmos. Aloha.
Thank you for having